Okay, beauty's on a high. A recent report by cannabis industry analysts, the Brightfield Group, they're very trustworthy. They project that CBD will be a 22 billion industry by 2022. I thought you might like this since we're all in Tennessee. The Tennessee Department of Agriculture has licensed nearly 3,000 hemp growers this year, whereas last year it was just 226 growers. Isn't that amazing? So the Farm Bill has helped, but there is so much support for farmers in this state, and I think it's phenomenal. Now, understanding the differences between hemp oil and CBD oil. Do you all think it's the same? Do you realize it's different? Okay, so there's, surprisingly enough, there's a lot of brands that are actually causing confusion because they're calling it one thing when it's actually another. But hemp seed oil is not the same as CBD oil. And hopefully this will be finally a large slide. Thank you, Jesus. Here we go. Hemp comes from cannabis sativa, and marijuana comes from cannabis indica. Now, they are the same species, which means they're the same family, but look at them as cousins. So they're sort of related, but they're not the same. Now, hemp oil on the left, that has a very low cannabidiol content, whereas as you can see on the right, the marijuana plant, the cannabidiol content with CBD oil, that's really, really high. But let's look at the parts used because this is where the confusion lies. So hemp oil comes from the pressed seeds. And CBD oil, which is different to hemp oil, that comes from the leaves, the flowers, and the stalks. Everyone clear on that? Does that make sense? And then, of course, the extraction method is different too. The seeds are pressed to squeeze all the oil out. And then, of course, the CBD goes through CO2 extraction. This is interesting because the world of cannabis has followed the trajectory of natural wellness industry. And the good news is you don't have to be a hippie to take it anymore. You know, back in the day, it was just really, you know, hippies and granola crunching folks with Birkenstocks and potato sack clothing. You won't remember that. You're all too young. But this is what's interesting because the culture now for this industry is far more inclusive and upscale. So you don't have to be a hippie anymore to take this. And it's followed a trajectory similar to the wine industry. You know what that means? That was driven by women as well, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Well, so is this. And men and women are actually using CBD in different ways. Men are sort of less focused on the self-care elements of CBD, and they're more sort of prone to purchase these sorts of products, mainly because, you know, if they're working out or if they're just sort of really, you know, trying to become more healthy, maybe lowering their stress. But women, this is interesting because both hemp and CBD lean more towards feminine well-being, and it's also being used by some women to address postpartum depression. So in this world now that we already know from my previous presentation, there is a much more sort of demand for cleaner, organic, wellness-based products. And that is really driving the trend because of today's state of unprecedented stress. Being connected 24/7, the lack of boundaries between work and life, I think we can all agree with that. And the fact that by 2030, 80% of the human population will live in urban, nature-deprived areas. Now, when you do a quick Google search, 8 million hits come up. So how can you possibly tell what's true and what's not? What is happening is that if you are buying a product, even an oil, that says it's, say, 150 milligrams. Well, when that's been tested, they're finding that it's actually got levels less than that. So what you need to do to ensure that what you're buying is at the correct level, look for third-party certifications. That means that an outside lab has tested the level of that active component, and it's either going to be stamped that it's true or it won't get the symbol. So when you look at the key unique selling points that that people are looking for, they really do want non-toxic products. They want more wellness-based. Let's do away with anti-aging and let's focus on better aging or well aging. And why can't we just maybe look more about being the best version of ourselves than trying to look 20 years less? I think that would really take the pressure off of us. So, does CBD work when you apply it topically? 100% yes. The future looks bright for this ingredient. So where are we seeing most of the benefits? With acne and with eczema and even with psoriasis. Why? Because it's an anti-inflammatory, and most skin conditions all start with inflammation. And there's some incredible clinical studies out there that are actually showing that.